All right, Unit 5, Video 3, multiplying polynomials. Okay, to multiply polynomials, we need to multiply each term in one polynomial by each term in the other polynomial, and then we're going to add those answers together and simplify if needed. All right, we already covered the skills to do the following problem. So we have the problem 2xy in one set of parentheses multiplied by 4y. So we multiply our big numbers together, our regular numbers. 2 times 4 equals an 8. Multiply, we have x, and then we have 2y. So y times y, as we learned in exponential rules, is y squared. So our final answer for this would be simply 8xy squared. So the squared is only attached to the y. The x is simply just there by itself. You could write the imaginary 1 on the x, knowing that x is to the power of 1, and of course that 8. All right, so here we're going to use distribution skills, okay? So we know how to distribute. So here we have 2x times x is a 2x squared. So the x gets squared, the 2 stays the same, plus 2x times 3y is 6xy. And we're done. We cannot put those together because x squared is not the same as an xy. All right, now is where, to me, it gets fun. So we have parentheses 3x plus 4 times parentheses 5x minus 6. We're going to make a box to do this, so it cuts it down into small individual problems. So I'm going to make a box, however many by however many. Okay? So here I have, and I'm going to write one term by one term. So I'm going to do 3x and a plus 4, and yes, make sure you have that plus with that 4. And then on the side, I have a 5x and a minus 6. So there, if you notice, I wrote out my 3x plus 4 right here, and my 5x minus 6 right here. So now I'm going to multiply these, and I'm going to get 4 terms. So I'm going to multiply each column by each row to get what's inside here. Okay? So 3x times 5x is 15x squared. 5x times 4 is a plus 20x. 3x times negative 6 is a minus 18x. And 4 times negative 6 is a minus 24. So that's step number 1. So notice, again, I multiplied my column by my row. So that's why I had a 3x times 5x, which gave me 15x squared. Here I had my 4 times my 5x, gave me a 20x. 3x times negative 6 gave me a negative 18x, and 4 times negative 6 gave me the negative 24. So I'm going to combine like terms, make it all pretty, and I have 15x squared. Now notice I have combined terms right here on my diagonal, and this pretty much happens almost every time. So 20 minus 18 would be plus 2x minus 24. Okay, that is the most simplified version of that answer. Another reason why I really, really love this method, okay, here is why. Because now we have a binomial, meaning there are 2 terms, multiplied it by a trinomial, meaning there are 3 terms. This method makes it really clean. So it doesn't matter which way you go with this. I am going to, for space, do my 3 going along the top, and my 2 along the side. Okay? So I have my 3x, I have my minus 4y, and I have my plus 5 going along the top, and I have my x and my plus 2y going along the side. Okay? So now I'm going to do exactly what I did in the problem before, so I'm going to keep it in its little problems. So this first box is 3x times x, which is a 3x squared. This next box is negative 4y times x, so it would be a minus 4xy. We typically put them in alphabetical. 5 times x is a plus 5x. 3x times 2y would be a plus 6xy. Negative 4y times 2 would be a negative 8y squared, because there was a y in both. And a 5 times 2y would be a plus 10y. Okay? So now, if you notice, some of the diagonals are like terms, some of them are not. But I'm going to combine anything that I can. All right? So I have a 3x squared. I do have a like term right here. I have a plus 6xy and a minus 4xy. So thus that is a plus 2xy minus 8y squared plus 5x plus 10y. So the problem itself is a little bit longer because of the lack of like terms, but you see how they all work together. Okay, now it's like in a word problem. What is the resulting polynomial when 5x plus 7 is multiplied by 6x minus 5? Same thing. Not a problem, guys. We're doing the same steps. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to draw my box. And I have a 2 by 2. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to write my terms. So I have a 5x plus 7, and I have a 6x minus 5. And now I'm going to actually do that multiplication because that's what it asks. What is the result when these are multiplied together? 5x times 6x is a 30x squared. Should have made my box a little bigger. 6x times 7 is a plus 42x. 5x times negative 5 is a minus 25x. And negative 5 times 7 is a negative 35. So I'm going to write out my final answer, and I get 30x squared. 42 minus 25 would be plus 17x, and then minus 35. All right, now sometimes they're going to give you a problem like this. So this says, write a simplified polynomial that represents the area of the shaded region, okay? So other than leaving where I wrote the numbers out, the shaded region is the bigger part of that rectangle. So we're going to have to cancel out this small part right here, okay? We want to look at the area that's in here without this area. So we're going to have to do some combination of skills, okay? Well, we do need to find out what the area is of the big rectangle, but we're also going to have to know the area of this because we want to take the area of the big minus the area of the small, okay? So here we go. For starters, we're going to make 2 boxes on this. So box number 1 is going to be 5x plus 2, 4x plus 3. And we're going to do the math to figure out what goes in there. Okay, so I worked it out, and I got the 20x squared, 8x, 15x, and 6. So now I'm going to write it out as a full quadratic. Okay, so I know the area of the big rectangle is the same thing as 20x squared plus 23x plus 6. But now I need to figure out the smaller so I can do the subtraction. Okay, so now I drew out my box for my smaller rectangle of my 2x plus 1 times x plus 3. Now I'm going to go ahead and show the math to finding what goes in that box. Okay, so I did my multiplication, and I got my 2x squared plus an x plus a 6x plus 3. So now I need to write it out as a full quadratic. Okay, so now I know that the larger area of rectangle is 20x squared plus 23x plus 6. The smaller is 2x squared plus 7x plus 3. So I need the bigger minus the smaller to equal what's left in here. Okay, so we're continuing the problem, and we have the big 20x squared plus 23x plus 6 minus the small 2x squared plus 7x plus 3. So we just need to do the math. So I'm going to do the math to figure out what our final quadratic is. Okay, notice my first step. I made sure I had to distribute this minus sign with everything you see over here. Okay, so that's why the 2x squared became a negative, the 7x became a negative, and the 3 became a negative. Okay, so then when I combine like terms, I get my final answer is 18x squared plus 16x plus 3. That is the area of the shaded area. Okay?